I'm going to bet that most of us have a similar and positive reaction to this photo. Forests provide us with so much. They're places of natural beauty, places for recreation, places of cultural significance. Even in cities, trees are treasured. And they literally provide us with so much. Wood products that build our houses, make our furniture, give us paper and packaging. And they provide the planet with so much. Sequestering carbon, delivering clean air and clean water, and of course, providing habitat for millions of species. And, maybe most important, forests are the lungs of our planet, with methane and carbon sequestration mitigating the effects of human-caused climate change. So my question is, how many of us have a consistently positive reaction to this photograph? My guess is fewer. There's a survey in North America that finds that while 80% of people see wood as a renewable resource, that same 80% do not associate the forest industry with sustainability. My mission today is to tell you the story behind this picture and to explain how cutting down trees and replanting them can help fix the climate. I'm going to give you 5 ways. First, it's important to understand that sustainable harvest of managed forests is not deforestation. Deforestation is defined by the Food and Agriculture Organization as the permanent conversion of forest land to a different land use. Some deforestation is caused by the unsustainable harvest of native trees from natural forests. And this can be managed and curtailed by producers of wood products making and adhering to serious zero deforestation supply chain commitments. But more than 90% of the world's deforestation in the last 2 decades was caused by the conversion to agriculture. Sustainably managed forests actually safeguard natural forests from deforestation. Only 7% of the world's forest land is managed forest, and yet it produces more than almost 50% of the wood products that we use every day. And research has shown that forests with long-term sustainable management plans are more resistant to deforestation. In the Congo Basin, up to 75% more resistant. Second, growing demand for sustainably harvested wood products can actually drive reforestation at meaningful scales, delivering important climate and ecological benefits. Forestry is a low-emitting industry, so planting more trees means more carbon sequestration. And a growing market for sustainably harvested wood products provides economic support for landowners to expand their forest lands. Research in the United States finds that when wood product prices go up, landowners plant more trees. Third, wood can substitute for high-emitting materials like concrete and steel. This is the Portland, Oregon airport, which just opened. It's a gorgeous new mass timber building. Mass timber is a way of gluing together many pieces of wood to create a construction-grade material that can be used to make large buildings, skyscrapers, warehouses, affordable housing. Together, the construction industry and the built environment are 40% of global carbon emissions. If they were their own country, they'd be the largest emitter on the planet. And research shows that widespread adoption of wooden buildings could, by the end of this century, sequester more than 100 gigatons of carbon. That's the last 3 years of global emissions totally wiped out. Fourth, forests are home to 200 million indigenous people. And growing demand for sustainably harvested wood products can drive capital into these communities, supporting alternative livelihoods that can reduce pressure on that expanding agriculture frontier. This is a photograph of a member of the Mumba community in Zambia who's working with the Nature Conservancy to win back management rights over their indigenous forests and stand up a new wood products enterprise, which is creating new jobs and driving capital into the community for investment in education, healthcare, and sanitation. And there are more and more examples of this kind of project working. Fifth, and finally, we all know there's growing demand for investments in nature-based solutions and credible carbon offsets. And we've seen in the GIIN's research that half of respondents plan to increase their allocation to sustainable forestry and natural capital in the next 5 years. This demand is driving a lot of creative innovation and collaboration between the private sector and the NGO community to create investment vehicles that can deliver commercial returns through commercial forestry and at-scale nature restoration. This photograph is from an asset that we've invested in through a collaboration we have with Conservation International to deploy $1 billion into the reforestation of degraded and deforested Cerrado cattle pastures in the Cerrado region in Latin America. The plan is to reforest 270,000 hectares of land, half in native forest restoration and half in commercial tree farms. By marrying these two strategies together, we're able to deliver hundreds of good jobs to the local communities while also executing native forest restoration at much larger scales. This photo is of our first asset, which is 24,000 hectare cattle ranch. For comparison, I looked it up, Amsterdam is 22,000 hectares. This is a huge asset. And this picture shows our neighbor with the still existing cattle pastures, as well as the newly planted eucalyptus trees on the right, and the native forest that we're protecting and restoring. Our ambition is to restore 135,000 hectares of Cerrado through this strategy. This asset alone is a 2,600 hectare restoration project, which by itself is the largest Cerrado restoration project, contiguous Cerrado restoration project ever undertaken as far as we know. So we're incredibly proud of this collaboration, as well as our collaboration with the Nature Conservancy, who you'll hear from in a second, who's advising us on our North America investment strategy, providing recommendations on forest management strategies that can maximize the impact of our assets on biodiversity and climate. Together, we believe that cutting down trees and replanting them is not just good forest management, it's a critical piece in the fight against climate change. So now I'll take you back to this photograph and tell you a little bit more about what we're looking at. This is a harvesting operation from one of our assets, a company in Uruguay called Lumen, which produces a product called tropical replacement panels. This is a plywood product with a eucalyptus face. These are eucalyptus trees, which is high grade enough to be used in cabinetry and furniture making. It's designed, as the name suggests, to replace tropical hardwoods, which are most frequently unsustainably harvested from natural forests. So here we have in action a managed forest protecting a natural forest from deforestation. So thanks to their ability to sequester carbon, to protect natural forests from deforestation and safeguard that biodiversity, to deliver meaningful and equitable jobs to rural communities, and to drive new kinds of finance into at-scale nature restoration, I believe it's not an exaggeration to say that sustainably managed forests are not only keeping us within planetary boundaries, they lie at the heart of the low-carbon circular bioeconomy. Thank you.